So, we have a story of discrimination from American Airlines onto 8 black men who apparently did not know each other at all. Okay, they all just happened to be on the same flight going to wherever destination they were going to, and they were all kicked off specifically for offensive body odor. Now, could that mean that you smell like onions and you just got bad BO? Or could it be like, okay, maybe you were smoking the Mary Janes, and maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And that it was only the black people, only the black males that were present on the flight. Let's get into this. 8 black men removed from American Airlines flight for body odor. 3 men have filed a racial discrimination lawsuit against American Airlines, claiming they and 5 other black men were selectively removed from the flight from Phoenix to New York because of a body odor complaint, only to be let back on the plane an hour later. So we have this whole delay for what? Oh, well, you stink. I'm sure we've had many people who didn't smell well, okay? We've had many other instances where maybe it's not body odor, but maybe your little kid, little Tommy, is crying, screaming on the flight for hours upon hours upon hours, and then you have a black dude who goes and yells, and yes, that has happened, okay? So it's stuff like that, and it's like, is that okay? That kind of stuff is okay, but this isn't okay. And this is all if their body odor is as offensive as they're claiming it to be. But let's continue. The men, Alvin Johnson, Emmanuel John Joseph, and Xavier Veal, were flying from Phoenix to JFK Airport in New York in January when the incident occurred. According to the lawsuit, an American airline representative approached several black men on the plane, all of whom had flown separately, and ordered them off the plane immediately. And of course, there was no explanation for it either. Plaintiffs were not told that they personally had body odor, and in fact, none of the plaintiffs had offensive body odor. But then they're being kicked off a plane for offensive body odor that none of them had. And what is the body odor?
As I got my things and walked to the front of the plane and made a left to the jet bridge, I noticed that there was 7 other black men, and that kind of was like, okay, what's happening here? So
for plaintiffs Emmanuel Jean Joseph, Alvin Jackson, and Xavier Veal, Flight 832 was a connection. They'd taken an earlier flight from Los Angeles without issue.
It was just black men, so I started freaking out. I pulled out my phone to record everything.
At any point, did somebody from American say to any of you that you had an offensive odor?
No.
The lawsuit claims over the course of about an hour, the men were kept in the jetway and then moved to the gate area where they were told they'd be rebooked on another flight to New York later that day, and alleges an American employee indicated the complaint about offensive body odor had come from a white male flight attendant.
I don't know. When plaintiffs pointed out that it looked like they were being singled out because they were black, at least one of the American representatives said, I agree. Okay, because it's 8 of y'all, and it seemed like they were only picking you all. They said it was offensive body odor. Who complained and what kind of body odor are you referring to? Is it onions? Is it, the grass? Is it the devil's grass? I don't know. Okay, and we also have had many other disturbances on planes, whether it's kids, whether it's you're having an episode, whatever the case may be, and these people stay put. But this is not the case. The men were all reportedly told they'd have to rebook on another flight, but the lawsuit says American was not able to rebook them on a different flight, so they were let back on the same plane about an hour after waiting. Plaintiffs then had to reboard the plane and endure the stares of the largely white passengers, who viewed them as the cause for the substantial delay. Well, they can't help it. That's the thing. You kicked me off a plane saying I stank, okay? And I'm like, well, y'all gonna have to rebook me. And then y'all like, well, we can't rebook. Fine, we'll just let you back on. Well, obviously I don't stink that much. Obviously I don't. Can't give me an upgrade to something else? Can't go and give me something else or whatever the case may be? I obviously don't stink that bad, okay? But let's continue. Joseph, one of the plaintiffs, requested a different seat to avoid interacting with a white male flight attendant who initially made them deplane. He's like, I don't feel comfortable. Okay, y'all the ones who had me deplane. So what I want you all to do is give me an upgrade if you are able to do so. There was an available seat in first class. So it's like, okay, it's an available seat in first class. Okay, I'm going. That could have been given to Mr. Joseph, the lawsuit stated. Instead, American staff upgraded an Asian woman to first class, even though she did not have to endure being kicked off the flight with her and 7 other people, and she didn't even request one. They upgraded an Asian woman to first class and then allowed Mr. Joseph to take her seat in coach. Well, if he requested one and he doesn't feel comfortable because we have this flight attendant that I don't feel comfortable with because this person got me kicked off the flight, and now I'm back on the flight because y'all let me back on the flight, and I want to go on the first class, but you said no. We'll give it to her. We'll give it to the Asian chick, and I mean we'll give you her seat. Well, why can't I just be on first class? She wasn't affected by this at all, but she's getting benefits from it. The lawsuit is seeking unspecified damages of fear, humiliation, embarrassment, mental pain, suffering, and inconvenience. And I would say yes for all of those, because that's what it is. It's also seeking punitive damages to, quote unquote, punish American Airlines for.
Their lawyer Sue Huta says American declined to give her clients any answers about what happened in Phoenix.
It's almost inconceivable to come up with an explanation for that other than the color of their skin, particularly since they didn't know each other. They weren't sitting near each other. It seems fairly apparent that race was part of this dynamic.
The lawsuit cites other recent incidents where passengers have alleged being discriminated against by American and a 2017 NAACP travel advisory urging members not to fly the airline. It was lifted about 8 months later.
Of course, it's malicious, willful, wanton, callous, and reckless conduct. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, and everything that you heard, they have not mentioned what this offensive body odor was. They have not mentioned who reported it. Okay, so these 8 men are all separate. They didn't know each other from a can of paint. And then you go and say, well, I mean, it's all y'all. Y'all all got the same kind of smell and it's offensive. Who was saying that it's offensive? Is it a flight attendant who was saying, I don't want to service these people, so let's go and what can we do to get them kicked off? Because that's really what it seems like. It's more on the lines of, yeah, I just don't really want to mess with them. Let's just get them kicked off and let's just call it a day, And at the end of the day, yes, you have inconvenience, suffering, mental pain, embarrassment, humiliation, fear. Yes, I would say all of those. Some people may say, oh, the fear is pushing it. Whatever. They're not the ones who said, okay, let's go and kick ourselves off the flight. No, you all did it. So if there are repercussions, they should be serving them. But let me know what you all think about Seth's story down below.